What's going on, LBHT crew? We are back with another weekly video. Look, we're changing it up. Okay, every week we're gonna give you something a little different. We first thought that we are going to give you a weekly breakdown of the NFL games, and some weeks we might give you that. Some weeks we might give you topics on whatever's on our mind, and this week is more the same. Okay, we're here to talk about Frank Reich and the Panthers 0-6 start. Does that put Frank Reich on the hot seat? Oh, now, had you asked this question, I don't know, even a week ago, I would say you'd be like, nah, first year, no. But 0-6, that hits a little different, B. All right, that hits a little different. And even though it's his first year, even though he's got that lengthy contract, right? Guaranteed money, even though everybody understands, hey, it's kind of a rebuild, the first year doesn't really matter. When you start piling up those losses, people don't like sitting through losses. And that question kind of raises a little bit. Could he be in trouble in year one?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously it's difficult to justify keeping a coach if, say, they were to go 0-17 or something like that, right? They're not going to go 0-17, but
no,
it's hard to justify keeping a coach with that bad of a season. But I think it would have to be something extreme like that for him to actually get fired. And I don't even think that's because Tepper wants to give him time and do it the right way and all that nonsense. I think it's just because he can't really afford to fire him.
right.
Not financially, obviously. He's got all of the money.
All the money.
he can fire whoever he wants. But you came into the league and you hired Matt Rule and you gave him that huge contract. You gave him all that power. It didn't go well. You fired him after a few seasons. You put together this staff that everybody thought was fantastic, and it's not going well. What kind of message do you send if you fire that coach after one season? You're everybody's praising the staff you put together. They think you got the guys to turn the team around. And if you go out and you fire them immediately, coaches are going to kind of look at you a little differently. Like, hey, I know that you're not going to give me the time to actually build this the right way, which is what you keep telling all the fans you want to do, right? And in addition to that, look, I think Bryce Young is the guy. I think they got their right quarterback, but we know that head coaches don't necessarily like going to situations where they get stuck with a young quarterback that they didn't pick. So you have that, in play already. Bryce Young is there. So, if they were to fire a head coach or Frank Reich, then any head coaching candidate would have to agree that, hey, I want Bryce Young as my guy.
That's the thing right there, though, right? Because a new coach comes in and they are tied to Bryce Young, no matter what, because you guys don't have a first round pick. So
that's too. Like the other part is it's not an attractive job because you're going to lose however many games you're going to lose, but you don't have a pick to show for it, right? And the following season you don't have a second round pick because you've already traded those away. So the team is kind of damaged goods from that perspective, and you're not going to be able to attract good candidates. Right. College coaches, they saw what you did to Matt Rule. I mean, obviously he deserved to be fired, but I mean, his reputation is not what it was before he came to Carolina, right?
Right.
NFL coaches see what you be doing with Frank Reich firing him after a year. Nobody likes that. You are already sort of turned down by one of the hot shot offensive coordinator candidates this past season. Now, we can say, hey, he just decided to go back to Detroit and Ben Johnson, but he had a couple interviews in Carolina and just said no, right? He kind of took himself out of the running. So, you kind of have this rep of, not being a great place for coaches. I mean, Brady, the offensive coordinator, was a hot name, right? After his first year, he was getting head coaching interviews, and that dude has disappeared, right? So things have not been going well. You need Frank Reich. You need to keep Frank Reich there to kind of stabilize the situation, get the team turned around to a point where they're at least decent before you can even really think about making a move there. Because otherwise, any candidate worth your while is going to avoid Carolina.
Yeah, and that's worst case scenario, right? If we're saying, hey, if Tepper's looking to fire him, what would that look like? This is what it will look like, right? A mess.
Mhm.
So that's one reason why, whether Tepper likes it or not, whether fans like it or not, you gotta stick with him. But also, like we said beginning of the video, man, we think they're gonna be fine. We think they're gonna start to turn things around. I honestly think even at Miami game, look, Miami kind of blew you guys out. Bryce Young, you can see the improvement there, right?
Yeah.
And that's the main thing in year one for me that Reich needs to do is show the development of Bryce Young, because the rest of the team, man, look, you're in a tough way, right? The O-line did not hold up the way they're supposed to. The defense isn't really holding up. Those are things that you can work on in the offseason. Maybe before the trade deadline here, you can make a trade here and there. You just have to slowly work on this team, see where you can improve. But the first year is going to be hard to really judge them. You just got to kind of judge them on the little things. Can these young players on the team improve? Can it get better? Can Jonathan Mingo be somebody that can at least be a starting caliber wide receiver, right? A number 2 or solid number 3 for you guys, possibly a number 1, but the main thing is Bryce Young. So I think it'll be fine. Nobody wants to get off to an 0-6 start, but I don't think you're going to go winless. I think you'll win a few games here. It's going to suck seeing Chicago have 2 high picks, but so what? You got your quarterback, and you still have some picks, and you'll have free agency to improve your team. So it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, look, like you said, it's a young team in a lot of key areas. The O-line didn't come together. There's still injuries on the O-line. They've had a lot of injuries on the defense. They had held together pretty well up until the last couple of weeks, but I mean they have a lot of guys hurt. And honestly, if anybody's going to be on the hot seat, I think it's Scott Fitterer. Because you had look, we know that he was kind of a yes man to Matt Rule. But the players that you brought in to try to help Bryce Young along in his development haven't been great. Like Adam Thielen's been okay. DJ Chark hasn't provided a whole lot. Obviously, Terrace was already there. We already knew what the deal was with Terrace.
Right.
But Jonathan Mingo hasn't really contributed much up to this point. And there wasn't, Hayden Hurst hasn't done a whole lot at that tight end spot, and there just there hasn't been much improvement at all in any area of the team really.
Right.
And granted, they weren't a good team last year, but it was a team that won 7 games, and presumably you were going to solidify that quarterback position. And if you built up the roster a little bit around him, you should have had a pretty good season, right? And it just hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So if anybody is going to be on that hot seat, I would think it's Scott Fitterer, not only because of the current state of the roster, but because my man gives the house away in every trade.
Right.
They're talking about going out and finding a number 1 wide receiver, possibly a Jerry Jeudy, who may be on his way out in Denver. And I'm terrified to see what he gives up in the trade for a number 1 receiver if it happens.
Yeah, because look, you already know how I feel about that, right? You guys have to get very aggressive to try to get a number 1 wide receiver. If you land on Jerry Jeudy isn't proven, right? I think he has a lot of potential. He's got talent, but he's not a proven number 1 to me. There's some other guys out there like Mike Evans, like T. Higgins that are a short thing, and you gotta be aggressive and try to get one of them. Will it be difficult? Yeah, but man, desperate times call for desperate measures. You know what I'm saying? And somebody like T. Higgins, that's somebody you can give up a lot for. You don't have to give up the whole house, mind you, but you can give up a lot and say, okay, well, we got somebody that we know is going to be playing with Bryce Young for a while. If you end up with Jerry Jeudy, that's not a bad thing either. Just saying, really try to go out there and surround this quarterback with talent.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy, Hollywood Brown, they're not bad players, and they're certainly upgrades on what Carolina currently has. The other thing with Fitterer also, where is a Brian Burns extension, or are you actually looking to trade him after having turned down 2 first-round picks for him previously? I would not want to see a trade at all. I mean, he's not having a great season. I think he's playing well, but I mean, he's not piling up statistics, piling up sacks or anything like that right now. But you turn down 2 first-round picks, and all I'm going to be thinking if you trade him is if you had those 2 first-round picks for Brian Burns, you wouldn't have had to give up DJ Moore to move up and get Bryce Young to begin with,
True.
right? So look, go pay Brian Burns, go find a number 1 receiver, and just try and give this coaching staff some time to work with these young players and come back next season and see if you can compete next year. I mean, they've got some winnable games coming out of the bye, but obviously you're 6 games in the hole right now, so this season's done. But you got to just kind of go to work and see if you can get it turned around for next season.
Yeah. All right. So that's a little bit of what's on our mind in terms of the Panthers. We're going to give you some more of our thoughts on the Wednesday show, okay, on the LBHT show, 7:15 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you tune in. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit a like button on this video, all right? And if you like the content, you want to support us a little bit more, right below be $ LBHT show. That is our Cash App. Okay. We also use that for our super chat. All right. When you hit up the super chat, or if you're in our chat box for the live stream, there's a link to our Stream Elements page. Either way, you can leave your donation, leave your comment. And Michael from Man, right above me here, there's a little animation. He'll raise his fist and salute to you. Okay. Also, patreon.com/LBHT show. All right. We got all kinds of perks there, including the overtime show, which many people love. Okay. That happens right after the LBHT show, where we discuss anything and everything. All right. So what's going to be the topic for this week? Tune in on Wednesday and find out. All right.
Yeah. Also head to the community tab. We have the questions post up. We answer questions from viewers every week. So if you have something or a topic you want us to talk about, head to the community post it there, and we will talk about it on the show as well.
All right. That's it for this video. Make sure you guys tune in on Wednesday. We will see you then. Peace.